What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? Tonight, we're talking Kris Bryant, Josh Hader, Jake Odorizzi, Carlos Correa, and Jared Kelenic. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Let's get to it. And what's going on, baseball fans? How you doing tonight? Hello. 55 people in the chat to start things off. Man, feels like just about, 10 minutes ago? We were just right here earlier. We were talking about my top 10 shortstops heading into the 2021 season. So if you did miss that, hey, it's ready for you to go watch. If you want to go take a look at who I think are the top 10 shortstops heading into 2021. A lot of controversy over that list, so if you want to go check it out, you are more than welcome. So, but tonight, I want to talk some news. We got some stuff to talk about tonight, and, I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while. I haven't talked about the news as of, about a week? About maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks? I can't even remember, but, it feels pretty good to talk some news. So we definitely have some things to talk about. Nothing breaking news, nothing, major groundbreaking news, none of that. But, some stuff out there in the headlines. So we'll get to it. Before I get started, everyone, if I may, if you are new right now, just joining us for the first time, have no idea what the heck is going on here. We're talking baseball here all the time. So think about hitting that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 6K by opening day. So definitely think about hitting that subscribe button. Hit that like button for me, everyone. It's going to get us out to more baseball fans. Follow me on Twitter as well if you want to talk some baseball throughout the day. So let's just go ahead. We're just going to go ahead and get started right away. The first bit of news tonight, pretty interesting today. I always like a good little mystery like this. Good little. I'm a mystery movie fan. I like the suspense, and I was kind of wondering how the heck did what happened with this, and pretty interesting if you ask me. But first story of the night: Kris Bryant received a fake text saying he was traded. You don't ever hear about this stuff very much. This stuff is I don't know. I feel like you don't ever hear about a player getting a fake text message saying he's been traded. But there was at one point where Kris Bryant thought that maybe this was real. He actually called his agent to see if this was real. So let's go take a look at the article. Here we go. Sharing the screen with you all here. Taking a look here. So it was on MLB.com. So as we can see here, Kris Bryant does not know who sent him the text. It came from a Connecticut number and followed a rumor out of New York that was gaining momentum across social media, claiming that the Cubs star could be traded within 48 hours. Crazy. Welcome to the Mets, read the message on Bryant's phone. That's just very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. So everyone, if you guys can, if you may, please stop messing with the Streamlabs, the mod. That's just, it's an automatic mod. If you're typing in caps, it's going to time you out for a little bit. So please refrain from, trying to activate the Streamlabs mod. That's for the actual spammers that come in, which have been out there lately. So please stop trying to mess with it. I appreciate that if you guys can just leave it alone. So, but getting back to Kris Bryant. So, very weird. In all honesty, kind of a, fun little story, but you got to think, if you're Kris Bryant, you have to remember too, which a lot of you do remember, these are their jobs. This is their career. So for him, Bryant has been hearing the trade rumors all offseason. His name has been out there. So you have to think here, if you receive a text like this, you have, a family where, hey, you gotta, if you're getting traded, you gotta pack up and go. So, it's you got to think that's probably a lot running through your mind if you receive a text message like that. It's one thing to receive or to see rumors out there. That's one thing, but to actually receive some kind of a text message, that is just very interesting to me. And, kind of who sent it? It was a Connecticut number. Who knows how this, who got a hold of Kris Bryant's number? I don't know. Just very interesting to me. So if we take a look here, Kris Bryant did have some comments. Actually, let's take a look here. Bryant has dealt with plenty of rumors and reports over the past few years, but that notification was unsettling. He quickly called his agent, Scott Boras, and they connected with Cubs president of baseball operations, Jed Hoyer. It was a false alarm from a false report. So, taking a look at what Kris Bryant had to say, that's kind of the stuff that I feel like is nice to know. Bryant said in a Zoom discussion on Thursday, when there's something that's completely false, because at the end of the day, we are all human, and sometimes when you get a text that says something like that, it's like, well, that might kind of mess with me a little bit. That would mess with me too. That would absolutely mess with me. If I'm thinking like, hey, I'm trying to get ready for this upcoming season, and I'm thinking in my head, man, wow, I just received this text saying, welcome to the Mets. I mean, you got no idea whose phone number this is. I mean, just put yourself in Kris Bryant's shoes. There's a lot going through your mind at that point. So, kind of funny in a way, but you have to think from Kris Bryant's perspective, this was probably not funny. This was not funny at all. If I was in his shoes, yeah, sure, looking in, maybe like, gets you a little chuckle. But, if you're Kris Bryant, if you're his wife, whoever else in Kris Bryant's family, you're thinking, dude, like it's a little messed up. So who knows how this person got Kris Bryant's number? Very interesting. I don't know. Could this maybe be something? Maybe we're on to something here. Maybe there was someone in the Mets organization that says, oh man, hey, there might be a trade. You know what? Let's get this guy's number. Maybe someone in the Mets organization hacked in and found Kris Bryant's number somehow, and he knows the Mets are on the verge of getting him, and he just sends a text message like that. I don't know. Conspiracy all over this one. So could he end up getting traded to the Mets? It has been a rumor all offseason. We'll have to wait and see over, the next. I mean, we still got all of spring training, to go through here. I kind of think he's going to end up staying with the Cubs. That's just my opinion. Because, he didn't have a great 2020 season. The advanced numbers have been kind of going down a little bit with Kris Bryant over the last couple of years. So I think maybe, some teams kind of want to get a look at what he's going to do. He's not going to cost a lot, at least on baseball trade values. His value right now is not very high. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with Kris Bryant. So, yeah. That's all we got on that one. So here we go. Moving on to our next story. So there has been a little bit of buzz. There has been a little bit of buzz over the last couple of days where Josh Hader, his name has possibly popped up with going to the San Diego Padres. There has been something floating around for the last day that suggests that the Padres could be working on something, and that could be Josh Hader. To be honest with you, I can't really seem to find where the initial report of a Josh Hader where his name is actually popping up. Because as of right now, if we go take a look at the report here, let's take a look. Where is this one? Here we go. Sharing the screen. Okay, so there was a text yesterday from Extra1360 saying, is AJ Preller done? #Padres. I'm told he's working on something. I'm kind of just in shock. I'm just kind of in shock if that comes together, from Kevin Acee. So, this is interesting. The fact that the Padres have had the offseason that they've made a couple of trades. They have just been all over this offseason. I mean, you got Yu Darvish, you got Blake Snell, you've been signing some free agents. It's getting a little, to me, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be absolutely crazy if the Padres are able to deal for, someone someone like a Josh Hader. And to me, Josh Hader, his name has been out there for how long now? And his name has been connected with the Padres. So it's going to be interesting. Could the Padres pull this off? Could the Padres pull this off? This is going to be insane to me if they could do this. So, again, I'm not really seeming to find where the Josh Hader name is coming from. So, if I actually go take a look here at Google, if I just simply type in Josh Hader, let's actually go look at this, look for this together. Josh Hader, come on, load for me. Here we go. So, if we go to... Let's take a look. Wow, we got 102 people in the chat right now. That is awesome to see. We have not been getting too much traffic lately with the top 10 lists for my positional previews. So first time we've broken 100 in over a week. So welcome, everyone. If you are joining for the first time, think about hitting that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 6K by opening day. So again, there's a Padres rumor. Is a Josh Hader blockbuster about to play out? So... when there's smoke, there's fire, right? That's what Padres fans are hoping. Speculation on Twitter ranging from a trade for Brewers all-star closer Josh Hader to packages including Lorenzo Cain or former MVP Christian Yelich are swirling, putting Friar faithful on the edge of their seats tonight. I'm already going to say, first off, there's no way Christian Yelich is getting traded. Could you imagine if they traded Christian Yelich? There's no way that's going to happen. I don't see that. No way. No way. Don't see that at all. Now, more than a few of you were ready to run me out of town last month when I took over Friars on base, and I suggested AJ Preller go all in and pull the trigger on a deal for Hader. Since then, San Diego has added 2 late-inning arms in Keelnick and Mark Melanson, so it's worth wondering if it's worth using up your top prospect capital on a reliever right now. So, again, I'm not really seeing where the Hader thing is coming from. I mean, where is this coming from? I mean, this initial tweet is not suggesting anything with Hader. So that's why I'm not understanding why Friars on base is, where are they getting Hader from? I'm not understanding. But for some reason on Twitter, this is just kind of grown. I'm not really sure where Hader is coming from because his name isn't exactly popping up according to, the major sources around baseball. So... again, it's kind of just interesting here. And it's not just this website. Of course, this is speculation, but I've been seeing it on Twitter too. So I don't know. Again, I don't know where Hader's name is coming up. I mean, the one thing, if you take a look at the Padres right now, the one thing the Padres could use, they could use another. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't see any harm in going after a Hader. I mean, you've already unloaded your farm. I mean, except for the top guys. But they could really, in my opinion, it would not hurt at all to get another arm. I mean, this bullpen is pretty stacked right now. I mean, taking a look, you got Pomeranz. I think Pomeranz is going to end up probably getting a lot of save opportunities, at least as of right now, unless they deal for someone. Pagan, I think he's going to have a bit of a bounce back season. You added Mark Melanson. If you added someone like a Josh Hader, I think that would be awesome. But right now, I'm wondering what other trades the Padres could be looking to make. I don't know. I mean, I think they're already pretty set. I mean, you got Myers out in right, who had a good year. Grisham in center. Pham in left. I mean, obviously, Tatis Jr. just signed for 50 years. Machado at third. Cronenworth at second. You got Ha-Seong Kim as well. Could Cronenworth end up moving to left? We'll have to wait and see. It depends on how Tommy Pham does this upcoming year. They're pretty set at catcher. They're set at first base. Starting pitching. Could they deal for another starting pitcher? That's something to maybe keep an eye out for. They've been adding starting pitching all offseason. Could they add another starting pitcher? That would be nuts, man. That would be absolutely nuts. We're going to have to wait and see. But I could see another bullpen arm. But, I mean, they got a lot of guys. So it's kind of interesting. Again, this initial tweet, AJ Preller working on something. What that something is, we don't know. And who knows what could end up happening. So hold on one second. I want to move this screen over just a smidge. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so if we go take a look here, let's get to our next story. Here we go. Coming back to you all here. Okay, come on, transition. There we go. All right. Trying to play around with this studio mode in Streamlabs. Seems pretty cool. But alrighty. So, okay, next story. Next story. So let's talk about one guy. He's still out there. One guy is still out there. Is that music off? There we go. Music's off. So one guy is still out there. We just, mentioned some starting pitching with the Padres. Could maybe the Padres go after this guy? I would imagine probably not. But this guy is still out there. A starting pitcher that I think could be a really solid 3 or a 4 in a rotation. And that's Jake Odorizzi. As of right now, the Phillies and the Angels are showing interest in a Jake Odorizzi. It's amazing to me that this guy is still out there. It's amazing. So here we go. Let's take a look at the story. Here we go. Alrighty, sharing the screen. Okay, coming back here. So John Heyman, he tweeted out the Phillies are among new teams to check in on Jake Odorizzi. They've already had a very good winter, and this would be a big boost to their rotation. The Angels have been in all along. Others too. Who could those others be? We'll have to wait and see. There are some teams that definitely could use some starting pitching. If we go take a look, let's go take a look at the leaderboards for starting pitching before I start getting really into the Phillies and the Angels. Let's take a look at how teams stacked up starting pitching wise. So in 2020. All right. So if we take a look at the starting pitching rankings from last year, the Red Sox dead last. They've added starting pitching already. Could you maybe see the Diamondbacks? Maybe. I kind of wonder about that. They could definitely use some starting pitching. Madison Bumgarner was a complete bust this past season. Detroit, probably not. I still think Toronto could be a possibility. They've added some guys, but could you maybe see the Blue Jays jump in? Maybe. St. Louis could be an interesting option. Do the Cardinals want to spend the money? I don't know. The Giants, I still think, could be an option. They've added some guys, but I think a Jake Odorizzi would be really good. The Braves, could they maybe go after another guy? They've been adding some guys in that rotation. They're getting Soroka back. Probably not for the Braves, but I don't know. Could the Mets? Could you see the Mets? They struck out on Trevor Bauer. Could they maybe go? They did bring in a Taijuan Walker, so that's probably not looking very likely. I don't know. Houston, I would imagine, probably not. The White Sox, in all honesty, I think could use some more starting pitching depth. I think a guy like Jake Odorizzi, if he's healthy, would be really good for that rotation. That would definitely just provide some more depth. The Phillies, it's interesting with the Phillies because they definitely could use another guy. They did pretty well in starting pitching last year over a short season. But in a longer season, will the Phillies be able to make it? That's going to be really interesting. So the Phillies definitely I see as a possibility. The Cubs have been kind of a weird team this offseason. Could you maybe see the Cubs? I would imagine probably not, but it's weird because they traded away Darvish, but then they started adding in these other guys like a Jock Peterson. They brought in a Brandon Workman. They could use another starting pitcher. They brought in Arrieta as well. Could the Cubs jump in on him? That would be interesting. Could he go back to Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay, probably not, I would imagine, but they were in on the Marcell Ozuna talks. Do they have some money? Maybe come back on a 1-year deal? Maybe. They could definitely use another starting pitcher. They've added some guys, but they're pretty low risk, high reward kind of guys. And Michael Wacha, Chris Archer, Rich Hill. Jake Odorizzi, I think, would be good. Oakland? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not the Padres. They've already added a ton. But really, when you look at the Twins, could he just go back to the Twins? I wonder if he's just going to end up going back on a 1-year deal. But then also, I skipped over the Angels as well. I completely skipped over the Angels. So the Angels definitely could use some more starting pitching depth. So if we go take a look at the Angels, let's start with the Angels. I think definitely that would be a great fit. If we go take a look at the rotation, they have done some work with starting pitching. So if we take a look at the rotation as is right now, Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, they added Quintana, they added Cobb. So, but, when you look at this rotation, they got 6 guys as of right now. Ohtani is a complete wild card. He's completely up in the air. What the heck is going to happen with Ohtani? You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Going to be really interesting to see. But I don't know. Griffin Canning, I do like him. He's young. Could he take a step forward this year? Going to be interesting. Dylan Bundy, I still want to see a full season out of him. I think Odorizzi would be a really good fit. I think he would just provide some innings in the middle of that rotation. I think it would just be a solid guy to just plug in right there. We'll have to take a look, but let's go take a look at the Phillies. I actually think he is a better fit with the Phillies just based off of the fact that the Angels simply do have more starting pitching. The Phillies right now, they're lacking some depth. They do got Nola and Wheeler. That's pretty decent at the top. In the middle, you got Eflin. But at the back end, you got Velasquez. You know, I don't know what's going on with Velasquez lately. Matt Moore, I don't know. He's, had a good season in Japan. But what's he going to do here in the major leagues? I don't know. But I think, honestly, Odorizzi would be a great fit. I mean, you plug him in as the number 3 guy. You got Eflin as the 4. I mean, Velasquez as the number 5, or Matt Moore as the number 5. Have a bit of a competition for Velasquez and Matt Moore for the 5th starter job. The other guy comes out of the bullpen. I could see Matt Moore getting that fifth spot. Velasquez going to the bullpen. But I think Odorizzi would be a great fit with the Phillies. I think it would be a great fit. So we're gonna have to wait and see what ends up happening with Jake Odorizzi. So let's keep on going. We got more news to talk about. Very interesting story out of Seattle. Jared Kelenic, I cannot say the name clearly. Jared Kelenic, a top 5 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. Really excited to see what Jared Kelenic ends up doing in his career. However, there is some beef going on with Jared Kelenic and the Mariners. Kelenic, as of right now, doesn't seem too happy with the Seattle Mariners because he thinks that the Mariners manipulated his service time. Jared Kelenic thought he was ready to come up this past year. All right, Michael Ash, we gotta stop that, my friend. Gotta stop that. So, Kelenic, he thinks he should have come up this past year. The Mariners think, nah, we wanted to keep him down. We wanted to keep him away. We think he needed a little more development. But Kelenic, completely, in his opinion, completely disagreed. Supposedly, Kelenic was having a really good spring training. Supposedly he was, he was hitting some home runs. He was playing really well. So a lot of people thought like, we could see Kelenic, this coming year. And then he never just came up. And a lot of people were a little disappointed with that. And Kelenic himself was disappointed. So if we go take a look at the article here, sharing the screen, I am very excited to see him play. But so as of right now, according to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, Seattle Mariners prospect Jared Kelenic says team is punishing him for refusing to sign a contract extension. So the Mariners, they signed Evan White to a long-term deal. I believe it was like a 5 or 6 year deal for not like a ton of money, like I think like 20 to 25 million. I can't remember the exact number, maybe 24 million. Is that right? But they tried doing the same thing with a Jared Kelenic. But he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to sign the contract extension. He wanted to kind of test himself year to year. And he thinks that the Mariners, they kept him away from Major League Baseball to try and manipulate his service time because he didn't want to sign the contract. The Mariners, they completely denied this. They said, no, we just simply wanted him to get some more development. But if we go take a look here, so here, some of the things in this article. So as of right now, Kalanick, one of the top 5 prospects in baseball, according to MLB.com, said he was offered a guaranteed contract, but says that declining the deal has kept him off the Mariners' big league roster. So here's a quote. It was communicated to Jared that that had he signed that contract, he would have debuted last year, said Brody Schofield, who represents Kalanick. It was made crystal clear to Jared then and now that his decision not to call him up is based on service time. There's no question that if he signed that contract, he would have been in the big leagues. That's very interesting. Very interesting. So, Kalanick, he said here, said Kalanick, who spent last year in the Mariners' alternate camp, it wasn't just communicated one time to me. It was told to me several times. That's the God's honest truth. It got old. So, during a Zoom call with reporters on Tuesday morning, Mariners general manager Jerry Dipoto denied that Kalanick would be kept in the minors for any reason but development. On Tuesday evening, he declined to publicly comment on Kalanick's claims he would be on the big league roster if he signed a contract extension. So, let me actually pull up here. An article that I was reading earlier. Here here we go. So there was an article from last year. It kind of explained it pretty well on The Ringer. Let's go take a look. So it pretty much explained the rules. So if some of you are confused about the whole service time thing, this has happened to a few players where they were kept away from the major leagues to try and get another year of service time. So let me just explain. So this has happened to Kris Bryant, Ronald Acuna, Evan Longoria, Bryce Harper, and George Springer. So let's take a look here. This actually even happened to Jackie Bradley Jr. I remember this happened with him back in 2013. So if we take a look, here we go. Here's the paragraph here. The path from draft to free agency is somewhat more complicated in baseball than it is in other sports. Instead of imposing an age cutoff or counting back years from the draft, Major League Baseball uses what's called Major League Service Time to determine when a player is eligible for free agency. According to league rules, an MLB regular season lasts 187 days. If a player spends 172 of those days on a major league roster or injured list, he earns a year of service time. Players can earn a year's worth of service time incrementally, say 90 days one year and 82 the next. But after 172 days in a single season, the clock starts. And after 6 years of service time, the player is eligible for free agency at the end of the season. So basically, if a player here, let's look at this right here. But this also means that if a player finishes his rookie year with 171 days of service time, the club retains control over him for another full season. So if they keep them down in the minor leagues for even one more day, then if they keep them there for 171 days, then they get one more year with that team before they can test free agency. If they get to 172 days with a major league team, they get to go to free agency after 5 seasons. But if you go under, if you keep it to under 172, you now have to spend another year with that team. So teams, like to do this because they simply put, they want to get another year out of that player. It makes sense why a major league organization would want to do that. I can also think, to me, it's not a great look. It's not something that should be practiced. I personally think there needs to be some kind of a rule change. But personally, in a way, you can almost look at it as like a compliment to a player. Like, hey, you know what? We really like you. We want to keep you around for another year. We think you're great. This happened with Jackie Bradley Jr. They kept him down. They sent him back to the minor leagues because they didn't want to keep him on the major league roster, or they ended up sending him back, but they didn't bring him up like right away. So because of that, they ended up getting another year out of him. So I remember that was kind of a thing back in 2013. I remember that. So, but it's also happened to these guys as well. The George Springer, that was a big one where Springer, he thought he should have come up earlier, but because they wanted to keep it under, that 172 mark. So because of that, George Springer, it took him another year to get to free agency. So, okay, why are we spamming, guys? Guys, stop spamming in the chat. Ridiculous. So, here we go. Now, again, Jared Kelenic, this guy is going to be really good. So if we go take a look, now let's kind of transition to some Jared Kelenic mode. What are we doing? MLB top prospects. Here we go. All right, so Jared Kelenic, for 2021, he's the number 4 prospect right now. This guy is going to be awesome. He's got just so many good things about him. He's got a 65 hit tool, a 60 power tool, 60 run, 60 arm, 55 field. The guy has all of the tools. He has all of the tools. I mean, this guy is he just gets it done. If you take a look at the stats, going back to 2019, had a 364 on base, 291 average, had 23 home runs, 68 RBIs. The guy was all over with just good stats. If you go look at Double-A, The numbers dipped in Double A little bit, but that's okay. You know, you're moving to another level, or you're moving to a higher level. So 21 games in Double A, the average dipped a little bit, the on base dipped a little bit, but the power was still there. 6 home runs over 21 games. Jared Kelenic is going to be a really good player. Going to be interesting to see where he ends up playing because you got Kyle Lewis out in center, so I would imagine he's probably going to play one of the corners. So, I'm excited for Jared Kelenic. You know, unfortunately, teams can do this service time manipulation because it's in the rules. It's simply put. Is it a great look? No, but it is what it is. But you know, players can sit here and say like, yeah, this is wrong, but it is what it is. You know, these teams, they are ruthless when it comes to this stuff. So, I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it. So this is not going to change unless they address it during the next CBA talks. So, going to be interesting to see what is the relationship going to end up being with Jared Kelenic and the Mariners down the road. Is he going to look back on this and think, because he's already out. Here's the thing. He is already out there. Saying these things to the media. So, and he's not even in the major leagues yet. And that's like, it's a little hairy already. You're one of the top prospects and you're kind of saying this stuff already. But take a look, Kris Bryant, that was another one that he was kind of in the news when this happened back with him in 2015. Look how literally he got it was a 1 day difference. So they brought him up 1 day from after the fact. So they did him pretty dirty, and he talked about it in the media too. A lot of people gave him grief for that, but a lot of people gave the Cubs grief for that too. So you're seeing Kris Bryant. He's probably not going to go back to the Cubs. Evan Longoria, it happened with him all the way back in 2008. So I mean, he ended up staying with the Rays. Bryce Harper, he ended up leaving. George Springer, he ended up leaving. So Bryce Harper, I think more, I don't know, is that something Bryce Harper kind of kept, in the back of his mind where he's like, nah, I don't really want to play with the Nationals. They could have brought me up, they could have had me begin the season in the major leagues that year. And maybe that's something that he thought. So, and he thought about it when he was, when he ended up signing with the Phillies. So, hey, some of these players, they have these memories of that. And could this end up being something with Jared Kelenic down the road with the Mariners? We're going to have to wait and see. So, 5 years down the road, will Kelenic end up re-signing long-term with the Mariners? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I am excited to see him in a Mariners uniform. I think the Mariners are on the rise. I am really excited to see what they end up doing. Let's move on here. Our next story. So actually our last story of the night. Speaking of contract extensions, wow, 129 people in the chat. This is very refreshing to see because I've been doing the positional rankings for the last week. And I think the most people we've gotten in the chat, I think was up to like 80. So it's nice to see, more of a turnout for the news. So I appreciate you guys coming out. Before I get to my last story, if you can, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 6K by opening day. Hit that like button for me. It's going to help this get out to more baseball fans. Go follow me on Twitter if you want as well. Moving on to our last story. Speaking of contract extensions, all this contract stuff, one of the top shortstops in next year's free agent market, which is going to be a stacked shortstop market next year, Carlos Correa talked about a possible contract extension with the Astros. Could we maybe see Carlos Correa and the Astros come to terms on a new contract? He has set a deadline. So let's get to that article. Here we go. Oh, darn it. I just completely clicked out of the article. 1 second, everyone. Technical difficulties. Here we go. All right, here we go. Sharing the screen. Okay, so here we go. Astros shortstop Carlos Correa is slated to be a member of next year's historic class of free agent shortstops. Why not? Let's just go take a look at that historic class. Goodness gracious, you got some guys on this shortstop market. Francisco Lindor, if he ends up not re-signing, Javier Baez, Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Corey Seager. That's stacked. That's a lot of good shortstops right there. I am already excited for next year's offseason. Very excited. So, Carlos Correa, I did leave off of my top 10 list of shortstops. I still think he's really good. He's just dealt with injuries. He wasn't, like, great this past year. He was okay, but, But, you know, it just wasn't enough for me to put him in my top 10, unfortunately. But going back to here, I still think Carlos Correa, if we go take a look, actually, let's take a look at the numbers. This past year, I mean, again, he was about a 2-win player. He was doing pretty well. He hit 264, 5 homers, 25 RBIs, a decent on base, an okay slugging. I mean, not great overall. You know, I don't know. I just wasn't really too impressed. To be honest with you, I have never really been too... Like, except for those couple of years, those first few years, he was really good. He was really good. To 2016, he was awesome. He was awesome. I mean, a 7-win player. He was Rookie of the Year in 2015. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field except for that 1 year. He did play almost all 60 games this year. He played a good amount in the postseason as well. Let's take a look at those postseason numbers, actually. Made it all the way to the ALCS Game 7. He actually hit really well in the postseason. If we take a look here, in the wild card round in 2 games, had a 500 average, 3 hits over 6 at-bats. If we take a look at the division series against the Athletics, he had 14 at-bats, 7 hits. He hit 500 that series. He had an OPS of over 1,100 over those 4 games. And then he kept it going. Pretty, not as much as he did in the division round, but in the ALCS, he was pretty solid still. Hit 259 against some good Rays pitching. Not too much of an on base, but he had a couple of home runs. Overall in the playoffs, he had 6 home runs. He drove in 17 RBIs. Carlos Correa played pretty well in the postseason. So, again, not a top 10 guy for me as of right now. I'd say he's like a top 15, but, overall, Carlos Correa, he's still only 26 years old as well. So, but back to the actual story. Here we go. That's, let me finish reading this. Carlos Correa is slated to be a member of next year's historic free agent class. Although the former number 1 overall pick and the American League Rookie of the Year has made clear recently that he hopes to remain in Houston beyond the 2021 season. I will say, I think out of all the guys, besides Francisco Lindor, I would say out of all the guys, Correa maybe has the best chance of staying with his team. I could see them coming together on something. Like I said, he was the number 1 pick for them. So I could definitely see it. That's a feeling that is mutually shared by the organization, as general manager James Click made clear in an appearance on MLB Network Radio. So, here we go. We want to have some conversations with Correa to see if we can line that up so that it's not his last year with the Houston Astros. But you also don't have to look any further than a guy like JT Realmuto, who went into free agency and then eventually re-signed with the original team. So we're going to put our best foot forward there, and hopefully we can find something that's a risk-sharing proposition that keeps him here long term. However, as for Correa has stated he doesn't want talks to continue into the season, and Click agreed with that general mindset, stating that once opening day rolls around, the organization needs to be laser focused on winning a World Series. So, if we go take a look at the Astros, let's take a look at their payroll as of right now. So, here we go. So, as of right now, the payroll, is this the depth chart? Oh, yeah, so payroll. Right now, they have a good amount of payroll right now. They're over $200 million. So next year, you got a lot of guys coming off the books. You got Greinke, Verlander coming off the books. What are you going to do with those guys? Could you maybe have Verlander try to finish his career with the Astros? Going to be interesting because he is not going to pitch this year. So, right? Is he not going to? No, I don't think he's going to pitch this year at all. Unless if maybe he comes back at the end of the season. But Greinke, what are you going to end up doing with him? Could you bring him back for less money? I don't know. You got some other guys, Joe Smith, Maldonado. You do got some guys coming off the books, so they should be able to afford him. I I think it would be good to bring him back. I mean, like I said, he's had troubles staying healthy. This is going to be a big year for him. This is going to be a very big year. And he knows this too. It's a contract year. It's a walk year. He's going to have to stay healthy this year. He's going to have to produce, especially this year too. He could really help himself out, especially with George Springer out of town. This guy could really help himself out in a major way. If he steps up and helps carries this offense this year, I'm not sure how likely that is. But I mean, he's had success before at a younger age. So it's definitely possible that he could really kind of jumpstart this offense without a George Springer involved. That would really help him out tremendously. I mean, my goodness. So this is a big year for him. Going to have to wait and see what ends up happening. But I definitely agree that with Correa, you don't want to be having these talks during the season unless, like, you have seen it happen in the past where guys do end up coming to terms on a long-term contract during the season. It is possible. You do definitely see some guys end up re-signing, just like they mentioned here with JT Realmuto. Could they maybe get something done before the season? I doubt it, just because they have these other guys coming off of the books. I would imagine they're not going to do something now. I would imagine if they do get something done, it will be in the off season. So that's just my take. But everyone, hey, that is all I got for tonight, everyone. We did an earlier stream. That was about 30 minutes long. I went over my top 10 shortstops, and hey, and then we just did this stream as well. I did double duty tonight. We went over my top 10 shortstops, and we went over the news. So, but yeah, everyone, that is all I got. 133 of you still here. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. One more time before I get out of here, if you are new, hit that subscribe button. Man, oh man, we are so close to 6,000 subscribers. I can smell it. I can taste it. Hit that like button for me. That's really going to help this stream get out to more baseball fans. Go follow me on Twitter as well if you would like. So, everyone, I appreciate you all for coming out tonight. As always, it's a pleasure. Have a great rest of your night. I'll be back here tomorrow night to talk my top 10 catchers going into the 2021 season. And if there is any news, I'll talk about that as well. So, but everyone, thank you again for coming out tonight. Have a great night. And as always, I'll talk to you next time.